I love to talk, film, discuss, to critique.
The box. You opened it. We came.
In your face. What? Well, we're breaking shit. What up? What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Blood Splatter Chatter. Happy to be here on a Thursday night with Mr. Stu and the Missing Link to talk about a brand new one. This one just hit video on demand last week, starring Hugh Grant, which I never thought I would say on this show. Heretic. Heretic, which is definitely not pronounced heretic. I will say, to make me feel a little bit better, I listened to just like 15 minutes of one conversation on this movie. That's all that I've seen. And one of the first things they started talking about is it heretic or heretic? I'm like, thank God. I'm like, thank God.
It's weird because it's when you go heretical, it switches up. So you're
true.
You're kind of like tempted to go down that avenue. So I could definitely see the mix up.
And I'm wondering if it's like the weird thing, because I hear like English, the English language is like one of the only languages where we have like multiple usages for one word, like going live or where do you live at, spelt the same way, two entirely different meanings. So I'm wondering if that kind of
I don't think like
it's gonna be the new there and there is heretic.
I don't think like blasphemer wouldn't have hit the same. You know what I mean? Heretic is the one.
Yeah, and then there's heresy. I guess that's the same. But anyway, this one had been getting a lot of hype as soon as it came out. Steph and I have been doing all these 2024 double features on Sundays, trying to catch up. So we've seen most of these movies and reviewed most of the movies before we do our big top 10 at the beginning of the year. And then I'm like, I feel like pretty good. I feel like we've caught up after we did The Substance. I'm like, okay, we've done most of the big ones. And then I start hearing about this movie, like left and right, constantly hearing about it. One of the best of the year, the best of the year. So as I said, just dropped video on demand. I was glad that I saw that it came out so that we could cover it this week. But looking into it a little bit, directed by Scott Beck and Brian Woods. And Steph, I don't know if you looked into this at all, but when you and I did A Quiet Place, actually, when we did A Quiet Place 2, we talked about the writer. Yeah, the original writers of A Quiet Place. They wrote A Quiet Place, and then John Krasinski, he rewrote it. But it's, the story is theirs. The basis of it is theirs. And they had opted to not be involved in the second one. They sold the rights and they said, we're good. We don't see this as a franchise. We don't want to do a sequel. We want to do our own projects. And I think even at the time I was like, I don't know if that was a fucking great idea.
They did this. I might be mixing it up, but they did a horror movie back
Haunt.
Yeah. It had Zach Levi was in it. It was all right. It wasn't I'd like to read
this.
Yes.
It wasn't.
Yes.
It was like a really like as soon as I threw it on, because I had heard a lot of things about it, produced by Eli Roth and written by the people that created A Quiet Place, or directed by them. And then I only watched like a half hour of it, and I ended up just not finishing it. Not because it was bad. I'm like, well, that wasn't what I thought it was. Yes. I think I had been considering it for like Horror Fest or something that I wanted it to do, and I was like, this isn't it. But it's nowhere near like the Thinker that this one is, from what I saw. And then just to finish it off, they also did 65 with Donald Driver, sci-fi blockbuster kind of a thing.
Okay.
Which it didn't do very good either. It didn't do good. It's got like a 38% on Rotten Tomato. It didn't do that much. This one, done by A24 for less than $10 million. It's made over $40 million, which, to put it in perspective, this opened as a bigger hit, or had a bigger opening weekend than The Witch, Midsummer, and Maxine. Maxine's the one that really surprises me because there's already a lot of fanfare coming into that one. But it's doing great. It's got over $40 million on a $10 million budget.
Did Maxine not have a strong opening? How that?
You know
Okay.
what? I don't know. That's just a stat that I heard, and I was like, that's interesting. Because I would have, I would have thought like that's got a lot
There's a
of
lot
buzz,
of
but this generated a lot of buzz just from different people. I think a lot of people that aren't necessarily horror fans, are going to it's Hugh Grant. That's a crazy.
Right. And I thought like the choice of, at least I know you're not a big trailer guy, Vern, but I thought that what they decided to show and not show in the trailer was really great, and they
Really?
were able to protect the mystery. And yeah, I think everybody just seeing Hugh Grant really just fall all the way into this role, and you could tell that it was going to be something different, just off what you got in the trailer. I think that brought up
his Speaking of Hugh Grant, I was thinking of him and how what an interesting role this he's kind of trying to been on a trajectory in a sense, like turn that nice guy image around he's had for so long, because he was in there's a Guy Ritchie film like 2-3 years ago, The Gentleman or something like that, it might have been, and he was in that, and he was like this snarky, like it was, it played, you thought he was going to be like regular Hugh Grant, but he had like a little edge to him. It was interesting,
Right.
and then like can progress with this, because he definitely plays up to that
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
that we all have of him.
He's perfect. That's why he's
Yeah.
so perfect. For people that haven't seen the movie, or for those that have, the premise is we have these two Mormon girls, and they're doing their Mormon thing, they're doing their missionary work, and they go to Hugh Grant's house, and it's just like Barbarian. Stu, have you seen Barbarian?
Absolutely, bro.
Okay,
Yeah.
were you guys thinking that it's like a very similar setup?
Once we got downstairs, yeah, for sure.
Right. Well, the whole movie, I'm like, okay, we've got these girls, they're in this position with this man, and they're not uncomfortable, but it's all these undertones. It's like, if you listen to your gut kind of a thing, get the fuck out of there. But it's Hugh Grant. He's so disarming. He's so charming. He's so British.
Yes.
He's the most British person ever to live. But it's like you said, like the stereotype, or not the stereotype, but like my image in my head is all those, rom-coms from the 90s, like the most charming British dude alive. And I haven't seen him in shit other than Wonka.
Yeah, I was gonna say he was the Oompa Loompas in Wonka.
Right. All of them, right? All of them. Every
Oompa
Loompa. Which was weird. I like just reading up on him, I guess. I don't know. Like I said, I couldn't name you one movie that he's done. But like
for real?
No. Like recently.
Recently. Okay.
Since like Notting Hill and the things that I remember him as. But just reading up on him, it says he's done a lot more like character roles.
Yeah.
He's developed into a character actor.
He was wonderful in that, I forget the name of it. There's an HBO series where he's in this marriage, and he has this affair, and he ends up killing this girl, and the whole series is about her murder and who done it and did he do it, and like he's fantastic in it. I should have looked up the name before we hopped on.
Is it the Undoing, maybe?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah,
man. That one's great. Like that, and that's that's another one of those like type of roles where I think he's trying to do something different, something darker, and I just don't think he really sinks his teeth to any of those like he does here. I mean, this really fit him. Yeah.
Well, this is and Stu, I know you haven't seen The Substance yet, but it really reminds me of like Demi Moore in The Substance, where it's like a name that I hadn't heard, an actor, an actress that was a huge name in the 90s, never see him in anything anymore. And this is like a career, I'm going to steal your line, Stu, a career redefining role for Hugh Grant. Not that I think he's going to be out there doing this role over and over. It's kind of a one-off, but it's the role that I'm going to think of when I think about Hugh Grant. Sale saying his theater was full.
That's awesome.
What up, Evan? Appreciate you being here, my brother. But yeah, man, it kind of blew me away. And then just to finish off the cast, Sister Barnes, played by Sophie Thatcher, and a lot of people will recognize her from Yellow Jackets, so she's great in that. And then the other one, Chloe East. I'm gonna try not to go full Robbie on us, but holy fuck, she's attractive. I'll just kind of leave it at that. She's a good looking fucking little sister there. But I don't know her from anything. Do you guys know her at all?
No. Like I know the one, I'm sorry, you just said her name. The one who played Sister Barnes. She's fantastic. I've seen her in other roles, but I was really surprised by Chloe here in this one. Like she really was the one who knocked me out. I was
You know,
I was really impressed by her
when
performance.
when she had the glasses on, she kind of just like it was like some Clark Kent shit. Like,
Yes.
Yes, bro.
but as soon
Yeah.
as she took them off, I kind of felt like I might have seen her somewhere. But when she had the glasses on, I was like, oh, they just hired, she's just some girl getting her big break. But no, speaking of her, I did like how her character arc. But how did you guys take like were you thrown off when she because she was a little naive up to a certain point,
Yep.
and then she's like, no, I've been hip this whole time. Was that? You think it was?
I
done?
wrote in my notes, because you said that exact word, naive but not stupid. That's kind of what
No.
I took from it.
Yeah.
She's a little ignorant because of the way she was brought up, and that's something that's interesting about both actresses were raised in the Mormon church.
Oh, really?
Which, yeah, they're both
Wow.
ex Mormons. And we can get into it, but it's like there's a lot of that, but it's not like poking fun at it. It's not like this massive critique on the Church of Latter-day Saints and all that.
No.
They're kind of respectful about it while kind of having some
Yeah,
fun.
there's a little bit
debate.
like at the first part when he's talking about polygamy and all that stuff, but I don't think they linger on it more than they need to.
Right, exactly. They just use it for him kind of being a dick, but it's not like, I don't think if you were Mormon that you'd be super offended by watching this movie. But I don't know, what did you think about what you asked me, Steph? That's the way I thought about it. It's like, oh, she's a little smarter than she let on. She's just kind of naive.
No, yeah, she was just like very hopeful person. I took it, kind of wanted to believe the best, even though the red flags were kind of right in their faces. But there, what was it? There was a few instances. Well, it was kind of like I thought it was a little extra when she was like, when there's that scene, she was like, I noticed when you came in, you had a mustard stain on your shirt and a breadcrumb on your mouth, and then your hair was wet. She's kind of like backtracking, like very.
Yeah.
And
that's why the stain. Yeah. She went full Ace Ventura. Well, that was one thing I was going to ask you guys about the movie. It's like they keep on. They're it's a really heady movie, right? It's like a deep thinker of a movie, but at the same time, they're explaining a lot of things to you, and like. Some of them, I'm like, yeah, we get that. But then other times, I'm like, shit, I might not have got that till the second or third watch. But I didn't, you know what I mean? Maybe you should have explained so much. And that's an instance of it. I thought it was really cool, like the whole bike lock thing when they're finding the key. We had all probably put that together, what he did with the bike lock quite a ways before that. I'm like, oh, that's cool. And I didn't think they needed to sit down and then take a couple minutes to explain to us what they did. But then again, that specific moment, there was a reason why. You know what I mean? She explained the whole thing, and it's like, it's because you wanted me to know that I was under your control pretty much. But there was a few instances where it wasn't like that. They were just explaining the joke almost.
Yeah.
I love the bits with her character before we got to the house when she's like telling the story about watching the porn. That is so wild. And like, yeah, from everything like the scene she's describing to like the way she says pornography. Like, yeah, it's like so awkward. And I love the scene also when they see those girls coming across the crosswalk. That's when we get the magic underwear bit, right?
Yeah.
And like, oh, I love these girls already, and like they really embarrass her. I just thought they did a really great job of like showing who each of these women were, giving you little character tidbits before we got to the house. Like you already got a sense of like the yin and yang of these two characters and how they were different and like the space between them. I thought that was really well done. Like dude, the first half of this movie is fucking flawless to me, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, when we get down to the basement, it stumbles a little, but like the tension and the way they build suspense in the first half of this movie is pitch perfect.
I agree. And that's why I say, like, it reminds me of Barbarian, because it's like 40 minutes into the movie and not a whole lot has happened. It's all just this conversation. And even in my head, I'm like, is there going to be a basement? And then as soon as there's a reveal that it's like, oh, you want to get out? You just got to exit through the back, out the back door. And it's a basement. I'm like, oh my God, it's kind of over the top. And then I start to think, is this going to go supernatural? You know what I mean? Not to spoil Barbarian, but I'm like, you know what I mean? And then when the Prophet comes out, I was like, whoa, this guy loves Barbarian. But in a way, I think this was like better, like more well. I'm not gonna say it's better than Barbarian. We can debate that, but it's kind of a more well crafted and intentionally written story. When in Barbarian, the guy, the writer, he did not know the movie that he was making halfway through writing it. He was writing the story that Skarsgård was the bad guy. And then he's like, what are you going to do? And he just came up with that halfway through the writing process. This, I feel like he was a lot more intentional about the writing behind it. SoCal Dan, what up, my brother? How are we doing, man? It says, hey, guys, I think Hugh will nab a Best Actor nomination for this one. He was really great. He sank into this role. I agree, man. I think it's Steph and I were talking about it. We're going to have to give out some awards on our best of the year, like some best actor, maybe scariest moment, scariest film, best director type of shit. And yeah, that's part of the reason why I thought that we need to have those awards is because of this. It's going to be Demi Moore and Hugh Grant fucking duking it out with maybe some others. Kevin Bacon, maybe, who knows?
When I finished, but definitely by the time I finished, but like halfway through this one, I was just like, God damn it, I thought I had like my favorite films ironed out for the rest of the year. And here comes this guy. I mean, I was intrigued by the trailer, but like Stu was saying earlier, I think they did a good job of like making you interested in what was going to happen, but not giving anything away. So it's like you could have seen it like, I'll see it when it comes out. But they did it justice, because when you actually see the movie, it's that much better for it.
Dude, I mean, the movie itself, it keeps you so engaged and so on edge and so like you have no idea where it's going to go. I agree with you, Stu. Like the first half is the better half, but I don't really know what my issue is with this. It just wanders a little bit at times.
Yeah, it doesn't keep me. I'm not as in fully raptured as I am in that first half. And I guess that's just a casualty of plot progress, and it's got to go somewhere. You know what I mean?
Right.
Dude, like just from the moment he opens the door, he's got that, you get that sense from like, like I when I rewatched it the second time, he opens the door holding that flower pot, right? And it's the storm's raging outside, and like that's just such a weird thing like for him to open the door with. And then like he put you at ease, but they never feel really safe, right? And I thought like the way they built it up when the way that the house is a character in itself, like with the lights going on and off and all that stuff, the metal and the calls can't get in and out, and just like the conversation between them is the wife really exists. And the way, like, once we get in, I know we're going to talk about it, but man, that scene, like they're going to run, they can't get out of the front door, and then the lights go off and they have that, it's just a great like 10-second shot where they think the statue is Hugh Grant, right?
I love
and they're
it,
shooting the scare, right? And it's just such a great, effective, well done scare. And then they get into that little chapel room before everything goes down, and that to me is like one of the best scenes of the movie.
Me too, man.
Yeah,
me too. Yeah, you get me excited just thinking about it, because leading up to that, the whole thing in like the sitting room is great, but yeah, then it's like it goes to a next level. Like the tension rises up when they go into that next room, and then it gets you start to figure out for sure that this dude is nefarious. He's not the Hugh Grant we've come to love in that room, and then it goes down into the dungeon. It's like it progresses perfectly in that way.
With the chapel scene, did you guys kind of think like, God damn, bro, like, yeah, I mean, I don't know, I was just curious about like, all right, if I were someone who was legit had my strangers in my house, and it's like, and would I leave them unattended for so long? Like he was like literally waiting for them. I would have come back to check on him. Like he didn't hear all that. Maybe he did hear the commotion. It was just like, I got you, bitch, anyway. So it's like, you
I
gotta
think
come
that's
to me
what
eventually.
it was. He's got metal in the doors. He's getting off. They never like specify this or make it clear. He's getting off on them being scared to a degree. I still don't know his full intentions. We'll get into that at the end. Like, well, why is he doing this all together? But that's what I think is he's kind of fucking with him, and he knows they can't get out.
Yo, speaking of the house, Stu reminded me. Did you guys get like the Shining vibes, like with the small fucking claustrophobic windows and like the panels, the slit window? There's like a round window that was just you could like fit your face through it, and then there's like side panel windows, but they're slits of glass, like bodies, so you can squeeze through it. They were
Yeah.
very, and then the structure of the house, was confusing. It just felt like this big ass castle to an extent, or this, this fortress or corridor had all these different
Right.
levels. The basement had a fucking basement.
He's talking about how small the house is. You guys saw my house from the outside. It's just
Yeah.
tiny little cottage here, but yeah, it seemed huge on the inside. The house in itself is like a huge part of the aesthetic. Just all the wood and all like the gears and levers and the analogness of it all. Like,
Yeah, and that like one little thing that catches the falling water from the ceiling.
Yes,
That he's got set up. Yeah, it's so creepy and such a great way to like just a little like mechanism to creep you out even a little bit more.
Evan, my brother, saying he definitely got Shining vibes. Hugh seconding SoCal Dan's notion of Hugh deserving a best actor nod for this one. Incredible. I mean, and not just him. I really think the girls, or I mean, he is the star of the movie. Like, he's the one that I'm going to remember, but the girls are great. Like, they're toe to toe with him, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Hugh gave us the Jar Jar Binks impersonation at one point. I was like, his ability to like just be like a corny dad at some points in this movie was like so effective.
When he's singing "Creep," I'm a weirdo. He's so. That's the thing. Is like everything he said. I'm just gonna repeat myself. He's so disarming. He's so charming, and like I don't know anybody else that could have done this the way he does it with all of the dadness of it. And just the different ways he could say something and make it be like so like ooh, like I don't know.
Me question, it was awkward, but he did it in such a gentleman way. Is the best way I can put it. Like, it was still because it came out of nowhere, but he was so polite about it.
Yeah, totally.
And when they're like uncomfortable, he does this. So he's like, "I'll go get my tea." Like slaps his lap. Like I don't know. It's just he has all these pleasantries about him that you're like. He's asking weird things, but disarming you at the same time.
My favorite moment that's like that is when he's just slit homegirl's throat. He's lying over her, telling us that she'll come back. Just wait a minute. How about one of your drum rolls? And he asked the girl to give him one of her drum rolls. It's like just to call back to the moment earlier. It's so good.
And it's like, I'm sorry, she's not coming back. Like she was really hoping that was gonna happen. Like that.
Evan, my brother, yes. Does anyone get super grossed out when he's digging around through her arms?
Oh no, that's just a vein.
There's something about that, and like it's another one of those where there's been no violence or gore of any kind in the movie up to that point, other than the prophet and her nasty appearance or whatever. But yeah, there's a couple moments where you don't think it's gonna go the gore. You don't think you're gonna get that. You're not gonna be digging around and pulling veins out of people's arms.
No, for sure, dude. I just love before we get down to the basement. There's that line where Sister Barnes is like, "Can I use your telephone?" He's like, I don't have a telephone. And there's just that you get that crazy little wild flicker in his eye. I love that. And then also when they decide to go down the staircase together and he walks up to the top of the thing, she turns around, are you coming too? And he just closes the door. It's just so good.
There's a moment that I wrote down in my notes, his favorite moments. That's just a look from Hugh Grant. Up until this point, he's been nothing but smiles, nothing on his face, but you can trust me. You can trust me. The second Sister Barnes opens up the door, looks down at the basement, we don't see what she can see, and we just see Hugh Grant's face, and it's gone. It's all just blank stare on his face. It's not like necessarily nefarious, but there's something about it that's like, oh, that's new. That was fucking freaky. Hey, before I forget, did you guys notice who the guy is? Who the
priest?
Yeah, did you notice?
Topher Grace?
Yes.
Yeah, bro.
Oh, no.
It was. Yeah,
I watched it twice and I didn't know it till I started looking into the cast, and I was like, "What? I had to go back and look at it. He does not seem like he just doesn't look like himself. He doesn't sound like himself.
I guess I've watched too much of that 70s show, but yeah,
I've watched a lot of that. But that's what I was thinking. Is like he is like one of those faces. You know what I mean? He was on a long running, super big.
Dude, it was great. Like he didn't have a lot, but that bit when he came back to the door and he opened it up and he's got that dead serious face on, that was great. That was a great little scene.
For sure. I gotta ask you a question. Did you get this book?
Yeah. Did he have no prosthetics on or anything? Because that's blowing my mind right now.
I just had a wig, I think, bro.
He's wearing a blonde wig and the big glasses. But I'm telling you, like you know what I mean? He's got a distinct like way that he speaks. You know what I mean? He's got kind of a high pitched voice and like that Eric Forman-ness of him.
Yeah.
And I don't know, and that's gone. He's speaking in like
Mhm.
maybe like a slight accent that's disguising his voice, but yeah, it's could not believe that was him.
Yeah, that was cool.
Hell yeah.
Shout out to Topher Grace.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, Sale says he's proven his point. Sale says he's got his own little religious cult of women he controls.
It's all about control.
Yeah, and that's what, like when he does that little pop quiz and what's it all mean? In my mind, I'm sitting there going, power. That's the thing. It's power, control, same fucking thing. But before we talk about like the introduction of the prophet and that whole idea, what goes down in the basement, just like the religious aspect of it, just like what I really liked was the iterations thing. Because it got me thinking, like, well, shit, this is another iteration of a barbarian type story. Like, there's, you know, and we talk about all the time. There's the stories told over and over. We're gonna talk about some vampire movies. How many iterations of the Dracula story are there? Nosferatu is another iteration of the same Bram Stoker story. But the thing I wanted to say, and I don't know how much you guys like want to delve into this aspect of it, but like, I used to be an asshole. I used to be here's the way I look at it. I heard someone say this once. I'm like, oh, that's what I was doing for years. Yeah, that's what I was doing. And it's basically if you're an atheist, right? It's a real good way. If you enjoy being right and you like proving that you're right and that you're smart and shit, being an atheist is a real good way to do that. Because you can argue with people and you are fucking right. You know what I mean? And you know all sorts of shit that they don't know. And probably vice versa. But it's a real good way of just like being an asshole and shit. You could prove people wrong. You can call people out on their bullshit. And I'm still probably an atheist, but I have so much more respect for religion now. And that's what Hugh Grant doesn't really have. I get
The faith.
the truth. Like there's, oh, fuck it. I'll just put it like this. Like this would get some people not to like me, but you can look at it like the Jordan Peterson view on things. Jordan Peterson view on things would be like, it might not necessarily be true, but these stories have been told for hundreds and thousands of years and edited, and they've taken away the ones that don't work and the ones that don't connect with people, and they've edited the stories and made them fit better. And what has happened is you can have deeper truths in a myth than you can have, you know what I mean? Then you can have something that's super true found within the myth, like the story that is telling the subtext of it. The other way to look at it would be the Sam Harris way of looking at religion, where you could walk down an aisle at a grocery store and you can grab any random object and then look at your cart afterwards and be like, the black beans represent the darkness and the soul and blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? You can take the bread as a metaphor for us and our family and the way we share it together and all that shit. So I don't know. I don't even know where I'm necessarily going with all this shit, but I have a lot more respect for it. And I don't necessarily look at it as a tool of control. And if it is that, it's not purposefully done. And I think it's actually something that's probably beneficial for humanity as a whole. And that's why we evolved it as a thing that is in part of all of humanity.
For me, I completely agreed with Sister Barnes. What did she say? I find your rhetoric thin and your board game metaphor is slightly offensive. And also the spectrum, I don't know if she said it or her homegirl said it, the spectrum of belief, especially for me, and my spectrum of belief is way more wide and far-ranging than he was trying to box it in as. You know what I mean? That line really rang true to me. So like you said, bro, yeah, you can come correct with your facts and argue till you're blue in the face, but there's I don't know, there's also a place for belief and faith and religion in this world. So and it's like that was the thing. This is what I wanted to ask y'all at the end of the day, and I'm going to ask it now so I don't forget it. What do you think Hugh Grant's character's motivating driving factor was? Now we got that one. His wife, I think. To me, it's like his wife died under some tragic circumstances, and at the time, he was a diehard believer of some religion or something like that. And I think, for me, he was counting on his faith to try to save her or something. But I feel like he lost his wife in some tragic circumstances, and he's blamed religion for that ever since. Because all we really see of his life is that one picture that the one sister looks at in the first room when we get in the house. So like, I don't know. What did y'all think? Why is he like this? What made him so hateful and vindictive? Well, like, what do y'all think his motivating factor is?
I didn't pick up on the wife bit, but
Me
that would make
neither.
sense. But I did pick
Yeah.
up on the he was when he's going on the bit about, you know, being scorned by learning about all these different religions and how they all more or less copy from each other, and he found like he didn't want to find the one true religion, but he did, you know, and it wasn't what he expected. That to me, you know, that kind of was speaking on he was like you're saying, a man of faith, but wasn't satisfied with that. So he's like, let me try to find a different belief system. And he's kind of just finding similar patterns and themes throughout all of them, to the point he's like, this it's all the same shit, just said differently, dressed up a little differently. And you know, what do you think he was? What was his true religion? Do you guys think?
Right.
Yeah, I
Do you
don't
think
know.
there was some shit? Or
Honestly,
Just-
this is something I feel like I wish I would have spent some more time thinking about, but I don't know. I guess that's one thing I kind of wish it was a little bit more clear. I like what you said, Stu, about his wife. I didn't peep any of that shit about his wife. It's like, duh, it's obvious. He keeps mentioning her, that something happened, but I didn't get any of that. But I do think that he wasn't a believer and he had some kind of vendetta, but it wasn't clear enough. I guess that's probably it. Maybe that's one thing I wish would have been, not that everything has to be clear, but I wish his motivation was a little bit more
you know,
clear.
he kind of
Yeah.
reminded me of just the way certain instances how he spoke. He reminded me of the dad from Dusk Till Dawn, Harvey Keitel, his character. Because you know, he was a pastor in that movie, and his wife had died, and he was like, you know, what did he say? He believed in God, but he didn't love. Oh, good night.
Hey, nice.
But he didn't love God or something like that. You know, he was scorned by him. Like, my belief wasn't enough to, you know, to do. I did what I was supposed to do. You were supposed to do what you were
Right.
supposed to do. And he was, you know, he kind of, I don't know. So I kind of picked up on that energy with Hugh, and the reason why he had dove into trying to, you know, go into so many different religions, or his character.
I was just sitting there thinking, like, part of it is like he does enjoy it. He likes being right. And I think that's part of the reason why he picked the Mormons, is because they're probably the easiest religion to poke fun at. You know what I mean? They're the newest kid on the block with their magic underwear and stuff. And they've got, you know what I mean? They're kind of the easy ones to make fun of.
Yeah. This is my other question. Do you think all those women at the end are Mormon missionaries?
Oh, fuck. I don't know.
Yeah,
That's a good point. Yeah, that was my assumption, that those are other people that he had done this to in the past. And that would have been their fate had they not made it out.
Yeah.
I wouldn't put it past him to have been kidnapping. The only reason I think he was kidnapping people is because I was reminded of Barbarian, and that's how old dude. He got his daughter, I guess, at the end. But you know, maybe he was doing it under different. Sometimes they came to him. Sometimes, you know, he went out and did some fishing. It depended.
Right. Yeah, I don't know, man. I guess it's unanswered, but I'm going with he's a dick. That's his main reason. But all right, let's get into the basement here, where they tease us with this supernatural shit. You're quite all right. They tease us with this supernatural bit, and they bring out this prophet, and he kills her. And the fact, like, when they brought her back, were you guys like, oh shit? Like, were you guys instantly thinking, oh my God, she's gonna come back and this is actually supernatural? And then, like, what did you guys think about the way they just kind of explained it away? Like, no, this is exactly what happened, and then they kind of proved it. This is what I'm talking about. I don't know if this is a bad thing, but like, there's some of these things that could have been left up to the imagination, and they keep calling them out on it. But like, no, I think you did this, and then they're like, let's go disprove it or prove it.
Well, I think it was him trying to shake or break their faith. So like, this was taken, and it was you know, there was no supernatural twist to an extent. We'll get to the end, but
I think they're almost playing on Barbarian. Like, they know that we know that this is like Barbarian, and they're like, we're gonna fuck with them.
Yeah. I mean, the whole movie's like that, though. It has you questioning things, because, you know, I did, when she popped up, I was like, oh shit, it's supernatural. Like, he's found, like, so this is like some Omen shit going on right now. It's switched gears again. yeah, we see that things were up until the very end not really what they seem, and even to the very end, not what did we see? We'll
Right.
get to that.
Right, which I like.
Yeah,
Yeah,
follow the faith, which is one of the big philosophical themes of this
Right.
movie.
Oh yeah, definitely. I'm stumbling over my words. Stu, what did you think of just the prophet and the whole
I
bit
mean,
with
the
that?
prophet was cool. Like when she came out and had the lantern and the blueberry pie and the thing over the shawl over her face, I was like, "What the fuck is going on?" And it
Did you
was
guys
cool
think
when
that
they're
was Hugh
done.
at first? I thought
No, I
Oh, you thought
no.
it was Hugh Grant? Well,
No.
yeah, she says Mrs. Reed. I thought the same thing. When she said that, I thought she said Mr. Reed. I'm like, I don't think that's him.
No. And I like the back and forth with the pipe that went down and like the spider that crawled out of it, and that was a cool little jump scare.
Mhm.
I kind of agree with you. Like with the kind of over explaining it. And I like how Sister Barnes was kind of hip to it without having to figure it out. She knew it was a magic trick, and I like. To me, my favorite part was when he slit her throat and just the misdirection on that. You thought one thing was coming, and
Totally.
they completely surprised you, and that made me think, oh, he's been listening and eavesdropping on them in the house all along. Like he knew that was their code word or some shit. So that made it all the more nefarious. And I just love the way they framed and shot that scene afterwards, where it's no dialogue. There's that haunting music. She's freaking out, running up the stairs, and he's just kind of like waving, and like it's just everything's gone to shit. So that to me was the strongest moment
during that. I think he was like, "Oh, you better run now," or something along those lines.
Yeah, just giving her second thoughts about pulling out that letter opener and trying to do something with it. But yeah, I don't know, man. I did. Like, I liked her response after that when she was, he's like you said, dude, it's so crazy. She comes back downstairs and he's lying there next to her and he's like, drum roll, let's get one of those famous drum rolls. And it's like, what the fuck? And then she doesn't come back to life and she's terrified, right? And I thought she really sold the shock well. But she's like, he's trying to explain to her that she's a program or whatever. And she's like, can you explain it to me? I thought that was a good way of like, kind of disarming him and making him feel like he's back in control. And that's when he's like, have you ever heard of the Doubtus butterfly or whatever the fuck? And she's like,
I love that moment, like the dialogue in this. It's all about the dialogue. It's like
it is, man.
90% of the movie.
It's so great.
But when she says that, and she kind of, for the first time in the whole movie, was the first time that they had him flustered in the least bit. Like you don't really see it on his face, but it's just like the fact that he's not responding perfectly in time was cool.
Yeah, and I love that Sister Barnes and like her dying breath is telling her to challenge him, and or I don't know if she was bleeding out at that, but like I just love how she was always pushing her to,
well,
where she eventually got.
Well, what do you guys think happens? Link, what do you think happens? Does she come back? Is that a miracle, or is that just she had a little bit of life left in her and she comes back and saves the day at the end?
Well, you could you could spin it a few different ways. It could, like I said, it's a miracle. It's faith. She had just enough life fight left in her to come back and do that one last act. But like I said, this is more of a realistic film. That's why there was no supernatural element. He was, he had these elaborate plots to convince them I've got prophet. But I'm thinking like it was a near-death experience. Like we see her get shanked, right in the pretty close up to the chest cage and like straight in the gut.
You're saying the Sister Paxton. The second one.
But yeah, are we asking if old girl?
No. Yeah. No. I mean that.
I personally think that's Paxton. That was like a near-death experience for her, where she died, and they all died. They all bled out. Whether he put the knife in, I don't think we saw it, but maybe he did just stick the knife in her throat. But I regardless if it was a near-death experience or if it happened, it's the same outcome. But I do think she died just because at the end with the butterfly,
right.
And then that was a beautiful shot, by the way, where she's like, she's in the sunbeam behind her. Yeah,
Sal-
I did the simulation theory. Yes, they had me
Yeah.
going to the very
Well,
end. I didn't know what to believe.
when this comes up, I'm like, oh my god, how many fucking crazy topics are we gonna get into in this movie? But yeah,
Right?
It's
Sal's
sci-fi.
saying I almost believed him when he was going on about simulation theory, especially after he pulled out the metallic piece from Sister Barnes' arm. I didn't get that. Like,
Was
I
that
didn't.
birth control?
I guess that is a thing. Like, there are actual birth control implants. Like, I didn't know that was a thing.
Because he had asked Paxton if Sister Bonds was on birth control.
Yeah, like after the fact. Yeah, I like when she flipped the desk over and all the water went down in the drain or whatever. And you know what I mean? That was kind of cool. But then, like when she went down into the basement, it's like, girl, what are you doing? Like,
Right.
come on, don't give him all that power. But
I mean, but at that point, you know, the outcome was going to be this. She might as well, like, you know, extend it. You know, the outcome was going to be the same. Whether she fought him and tried to not be defiant, he was gonna
oh no, bro, he's like 50, 60. He's got a box cutter. You know what I mean? Like she should have squared up. She had that letter opener. That letter opener was pretty serious. I think
It was. That was a pretty gangster ass letter opener.
She chose flight, bro. That she didn't have the fighter.
Bro, she did. Damn.
SoCal Dan saying he was demonstrating that belief and disbelief end up in the same place. A phony magic trick. You can say that. The other thing, just to go back to that, the other thing I think now is, like, I used to be really clear. I do not believe in God. It's fucking ridiculous. But the more, like, I think about what I do believe, there's got to be fucking something. Even if you believe in the Big Bang, it banged into fucking something. You know what I mean? There's something before it. So, like, you can't say you know anything. You could say agnostic. I guess that would be the more like what I would be now, rather than like, I'm a fucking.
You can't confirm.
You're definitely wrong. Yeah, you can't say 100%. But just like the argument you can make in the one that Hugh Grant, I wonder how many people watched this movie and had never heard some of the arguments that he made. And the biggest argument that I used to make to people is that whole deal about, hey, what about all these other Christ-like figures thousands of years or thousand of years before Christ? Like, that's a pretty, like, a really good argument against there being any of the Christ stories being actual truth in them. You know what I mean? The resurrection and all that shit. Like, how can you say that you believe that if you know that those stories are 1,000 years older? You know what I mean?
No, yeah, not even the whole Bible thing. It's like, you know, the fact that it's been edited and remodified to fit, you know, that's why there's a King James version, you know.
Right. And even the version right now, people will be like, "Oh, we don't follow that part. Nah, about the gays. We don't do that." So it's like and this isn't something I'm fucking. Everybody knows this that's on this panel, I'm sure, listening. But it's like it's easy to make those arguments against it.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's a quandary with religion and what you choose to believe and what you choose to follow, right? Like, at a certain point, you're gonna. I don't think you know it necessarily has to pertain to religion. You know, I don't think everything. You know, even if it's not religion, everything that you believe in or have faith in life doesn't have to be real or physical in front of you all the time. So,
right.
Yeah, I thought it did a great job, and like you said, Vern, I think it does a great job of bringing up questions. And, you know, I think people can go to this movie and walk out having like respectful and intelligent discussions about the religions of the world, the differences between us, the similarities between us. You know what I mean? I don't think it was like too
there's a debate on both
offensive,
sides.
Or I thought it was, I thought it was very tactful, like, you know, how it went about it. And at the end of the day, it you know, you don't really like who wins in this situation. You know what I mean? It's
right.
So I don't know. It's food for thought. I think all the way through.
Right. There was, and I've never actually read any Dostoevsky, but from what I understand, this is what his books are like, where there'll be like two brothers that disagree on an ideology or religion or something like that, and they're just going back and forth with each other. And I just looked it up now. There's another movie that came out in 2023. Yeah, March 2023, called Nefarious, that was kind of more right-wing leaning. I think it even came out. I think it was even made by like a right-wing film studio. Not that many of those exist, but anyway, it's the same thing where it's like all dialogue about religion.
Is it the one they think the dude's the devil or whatever? He's like in custody. Oh, you haven't seen it?
Yes,
Okay.
he's in custody. I'm just looking at the image. I haven't seen it, but I know it was one that a lot of people were like, "Hey, fucking great new movie," and then a lot of people that are anti-religion or anti-right wing or whatever, like propaganda. They got
Dude, to me,
propaganda.
To me, it's the one scene towards the end after she stabbed Hugh and he stabbed her or whatever, and she gives that little bit. Again, it seems like another ridiculous time for like an anecdote about religion, but she talks about that prayer study. You know what I mean? After she's been stabbed, which I thought was incredible. I was like, damn, sis is a soldier. But I love that bit. And then Hugh Grant crawling up and like kind of like seeking comfort from her before he tried to kill her. And then I just thought that was a great way, like Sal said, to like, throw religion a bone, so to speak. And
right.
I thought it was a nice little turnaround.
And I think Hugh Grant was lit. Do you think he was being sincere in that moment? Right? Like did you think he really wanted her to pray for him? No.
He thought religion was a joke the entire time. I think that was him just kind of like, look where all this is gonna get you. Same outcome.
Right. Because he does his little like Hugh Grant mannerisms then. She's like, praying doesn't work. He's like he does some little like kind of quirky little move. Well, what made me think of, I remember years ago arguing with one of my friends' dads, and they said the line, "Well, there's no atheists in a foxhole." And I came back with, well, yeah, it's because God's derived from fear. You know what I mean? It's like you fear people into believing in God, but at the same time, yeah, if you think you're gonna die, you might as well fucking believe and do some prayers. It's you know what I mean? It's
can't hurt.
Yeah, it can't hurt. Exactly. So,
but yeah,
that's what I was wondering if they were doing. Is all of a sudden now that his life was in peril, that all of a sudden he was, showing some faith.
I like Link's thoughts on it though, that he's being kind of a shithead at the same time.
Right.
Like he's almost mocking it. You know what I mean?
Yes.
Like I like that. I can see that more than I can see him being honest and sincere.
Right. Sal saying, I was thinking Sister Paxton died and had this vision of Baxter coming back to save her. You're probably right. I didn't really even think of it that way. Sal also saying, I thought this was full pro-atheist movie at first, but I think it was fair to religion and that it gives comfort to people.
I mean, and to that, yeah, I think it shows that for the most part, like he was very, like Hugh Grant's character is very pompous and thought he was better than had all the answers. Actually, the girls were probably debatable, but I mean, because he did kill them, but they're smarter than him, So it's like that's shown that religious people can, it's not just based off of blind faith. Like there's deep insight that goes on to, faith is a big factor of religion, but it showed that just because you believe in faith doesn't mean you're blindly following something,
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's easy for people to think like, oh, if you're religious, you must not be that smart.
Yes.
I think this movie goes a long way to showing like it does, like they are, because of their religion, they were a little bit more naive. And I think they do kind of blame that on the religion. It kept them naive, but it also, they were better people for it. So, you know what I mean? There's that too.
And to me, like the biggest miracle of the night was Sister Barnes getting up after bleeding out and being able to strike the fatal blow. That was,
if that was true though. That's
came back to the bed. Yeah, it was that true or a fever dream?
What did you think?
I think
that felt true to me.
Stu thinks it was a fever dream, and we got. I think.
No, I felt true.
Okay.
It felt true.
Just okay. So she was sliced into some like this is quite a delicate area. You do not want it. It's got a lot of veins in this area. You don't know, and especially the neck. I don't know. It had that happen a little quicker. Might have been within the realm of belief, but it wasn't like she was stabbed in the stomach and bled out slowly. This is a main part where blood flows.
Did you notice after he pulls out the thingamajig from her
not
arm,
that much blood came out?
Well, no, she does. She like moves a little bit. She appears to be alive at that point afterwards. You guys peep that?
I did not. I just noticed he pulled it out and like because I was like, man, he got like, what is he doing? He's doing tug of war in there. It's like, so I expected like blood to come flying out, but not like a whole lot of blood came out when he pulled it.
No, surprisingly, but
yeah,
I just don't. After laying on the ground for this
it
like
was a
40
minute.
minutes, you know, like
I don't know, because here's the weird thing. Here's what I'm thinking, because that's the other debate is, was the butterfly really there? Well, it's like, hold on, should we even have that debate if she's dead in the fucking basement? So that's kind of a weird thing to put those two mysteries there. But no. I mean, I'm not saying you're wrong. I mean,
no.
It's all open, but it's weird to have this one open question and then have another open question after that. Where if this one didn't happen, this question can't even exist.
The one shot that cracked so much doubt in my mind was the butterfly shot, because it's right there and then it disappears, and the way it disappears, yeah, exactly. And it's winter, and like the way it disappears is just so sudden. So that was like, that made me rewind and be like, all right, so what's real and what's not here?
She doesn't react to it disappearing, right? So she just sees it. So the butterfly is her faith. It's like, you know what I mean? So like she still sees it, but it's not really there. But does it matter that it's not really there?
I like that.
She still sees it, and she's still getting the comfort from the butterfly.
I like that.
I think that it could also symbolize that, like, her faith, like even in she found a peaceful death because of her faith, you know, of death. Where I think what's her sister B, kind of, even though she put on a strong face, she questioned it. She didn't have complete faith like I think Paxton did.
Right.
Did you guys think, I mean, I think it's pretty obvious, but like, did she feel like the main character between the two girls to you guys until the moment she died? Like, they did a good job of giving both of them their time and everything.
Yes.
She was like the leader of the group. Right?
Yeah, and just based on previous roles and stuff, yeah, definitely thought she was gonna be doing that.
I think that was smart, because it kind of had you feeling like, well, at least for me, I was like, oh, you know, when shit pops off, old girl in the glasses is definitely going to be the first to go. You know, she's not an idiot, like we said, but she's a little too friendly, a little too naive. Where old girl B is actually playing her correctly to the best of her, you know, to the situation she's in. But I did think she was going to be the final girl, you know, if there was going to be one. And then it's like, you know, it does the switch, but then it kind of, I think that worked, because it's like, it worked to Paxton, because, you know, she seems so naive, and you don't, maybe I didn't think she was as capable up to a certain point. So when they do that switch, you're like, oh shit, oh girl is actually, she's hit, you know, she's just playing a role, you know.
So and it totally shocked you, like when they kill the other one, you're like, whoa, did not see that coming. But at the same time, like, just for half a second, I'm like, oh shit, she's gone. But then I'm like, yeah, the other one is totally capable of carrying the rest of the movie. It wasn't like I was like, oh no, I was like, oh, that was cool. That was a good move.
Yeah,
I just love that scene when she found all the women in the cages and she took her jacket off and stuffed it in between for that one. Like, I just
first thing she did right away.
Yeah, dude, that was just a nice little like moment.
I know, and plus you could see how nice her body was when she got the jacket. You know what I mean? I was like, thank God. Which brings me to my next point. I'll read this comment in a second, but we've talked about a lot. We've been deep, right? We've been balls deep in this movie. We've been talking about religion and faith, a little simulation theory. But the real question I want to ask you guys, who's hotter, Sister Paxton or Sister Barnes? If you had to pick one, this is how deep we get on Blood Splatter Chatter.
I'm a brunette man myself.
Aren't they both brunette?
Darker hair.
No, she's a dirty. Isn't Paxton a dirty blonde?
I wouldn't call her that. Not to her face.
Yeah, she had like blonde.
You're right. Yeah,
like brown, maybe. But I do like darker hair. I liked her attitude. Like, she was quick to kind of, where it's like she noticed the red flags and was just trying to get out of there as best as possible. Where old girl was kind of like, case in point, Paxton, when she's like, should we go in this store? She's like, no, let's. He's being very generous, even though he's put us through some weird shit. Like, so let's take his word for it. And she's like, no, bitch. Like, no, we're in the shit now. Like, I love
when she's walking down the steps. She's like, and thank you for your mentorship.
Yeah. You've proven us we have a lot to learn, and you're a very smart man. Yeah, she was great. One thing I noticed about them, she she like one you mentioned earlier, Stu, like the way she stumbled over her words was great. Like her awkwardness in her dialogue was phenomenal, and her like reaction to panic and fear. There was a couple moments like when Barnes gets her throat slit, the Paxton, like the look on her face was great.
She was
But
fantastic.
the other one, Sister Barnes, the one from Yellow Jacket, something about her lips. Her lips are working overtime, just like twitching. And it reminds me of this reel that I've seen. I've seen it a few times. I can't remember who said it, but they're saying like good actors never try to cry. It's like you try not to cry. Good actors never try to laugh. They try not to laugh. And that's what like these two were doing so good, especially
Barnes has got those scenes like where their tears like feels like always right there about to descend from her eyes, like they're right. It's so great.
It's
man.
that quiver.
And it fit.
Yeah,
it fit for the
There's
scenes,
so many
bro.
great
Like,
close-up shots in this one. Like
because you could, it was like you could tell it was like you were saying Barnes is trying to hold back the tears because if she cries, she's gonna break, and he's gonna know that they're aware. Because up until a point, they're playing ignorant, you know, and they want to keep that facade going. And it's like you can tell she's trying to, because if I fucking cry, he's gonna know that we're hip to him, you know. And so the fact that she's trying to, like, the quivering lips and like the glossy eyes but no tears, like that, little
holding it all in.
Yes.
This is kind of random, but did you guys think that this movie did a better job than Barbarian at not making you want to scream at the TV? Like, first of all, they can't leave. They're locked in there. They tried to leave at exactly the right time. Like they wrote it in a way that couldn't make you be like, this is stupid. I
enjoyed. I mean, Barbarian was such a wild ride. I didn't mind the whole, you know.
No, I did. I love Barbarian. You don't get me wrong, but yeah.
But no, it was better explained, or the reasonings for everything in this movie. Like, this was way more like I'm surprised it came from those dudes. I didn't know that the Brian Wood team. Like, this seems like their best thing yet. You know, they directed this as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so too. I mean, I wouldn't put it like A Quiet Place. You know what I mean? It's a totally different thing, which is kind of cool in its own way.
But to compare it to Haunt, something they did write and direct, like night and day. You know, Haunt seems so much. I mean, they're different veins of different vehicles, but it just seems that, I don't know. I'm very shocked that this came from, especially after seeing 65. I think that was kind of a stinker. Cool idea. They have great ideas.
Like that they're all over the place. Like, to me, that's kind of cool, and they're getting a lot of good work. I'm just really glad that they did this one. Like, I'm almost glad that 65 wasn't more successful, because I don't think we would have got this movie if that Donald Driver movie did as well as they wanted it to. Let me read. I'm a little bit behind on this. Sal saying Barnes said, first of all, Sal said Barnes is the hottest. No, I'm just joking. He didn't say that. But Evan did say Paxton. Well, that's the only answer we've got. Sal said Barnes said she wanted to come back as a butterfly, but it definitely felt like a near-death experience vision. Yeah, I don't know. What throws me off is the butterfly part. But I don't know. Chill, you son of a slut.
He says to let the audience know that she was dead, you know, that she didn't. That's to cue the audience. And because that butterfly bit not happen, you would have thought she just kind of escaped. And I think that was like their way of telling you, like, nope, she checked out after this, you know.
Right.
Well.
Oh, wait, of saying that Sister Paxton died after that, seeing the butterfly signifies that she died?
Yeah, because if you hadn't seen the butterfly she looks at it, it's there, then it's not there. Mind you, it's a butterfly in the middle of winter. But had she not done that flick of vision, she, you know, you could have thought like, oh, she escaped. She won. She survived. She had just enough fight in her, and you know. But I think they want to let you know, like, you know, she died.
It makes you think twice. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. I mean, I still read it as she. I mean, I totally get what you're saying, but I think you still can read it as that she lived, and that if you're looking at the butterfly as just a symbol of her faith, then you can have both.
But
it never crossed my mind.
Says at the beginning, I want to come back as a butterfly to the people I love. Like, that's the part where it's like, what are we doing?
Even the weapon they smack him in the face with, that was laid out very early on in the film. Like, a lot of things were very.
You did a good job planting seeds in this one. Yeah.
She did. Now let me just clarify. Paxton, aka the hot one, she's the one that says she's the one that says the butterfly bit, right?
Yes.
So I think it's just she planted that seed, in Barnes's head, and that's why Barnes came back and did that for her. At least that's a possibility.
Barnes
You know
came
what I
back as a
mean?
butterfly.
Barnes came back and killed old boy for her. I feel
Yeah,
like
but she comes back all the time. That's just what Barnes does, bro. She came right back. You know what I mean? She came back again.
Like, hey, yo, homie, don't remember I saved your fucking life. Like every time she's gonna show up, like it's like a guilt trip butterfly. Like, hey,
She's
don't
like, yeah,
remember, I died for you, bitch.
you know,
That's funny.
I got to go through the cocoon process.
Goddamn.
Joe
What's the
saying,
matter?
I'm
What's
late,
the
but
matter,
just in
sister,
time
man?
to do Paxton first. He said. Says, have all the good jokes been told already? Well, I
apparently not, Chill. Apparently
well,
not.
I bet Latter-day Saints love this movie. I don't know. Chill, what we said earlier, both the actresses were former members of that church. And I don't know. You know what got me thinking just a few moments ago is like there was a lot of talk at the time when A Quiet Place came out that it was a right-wing message, that it was a metaphor for conservative voices being silenced. And John Krasinski was like, whoa, shut the fuck up. That's not what we're trying to do. But
Space
it
movie.
it kind of has me interested. Like, I don't know, like you could look at this as, I don't know. It's definitely not anti-religion. It's not a bazillion miles away from a more conservative message of a movie. And that's kind of interesting. Like, I don't know, not that it matters, but it makes me want to watch 65 and Haunt and see if I can dig any political ideas out of those two movies. You know what I mean? You don't think so?
What I like about this movie is it makes a lot of points on its way of getting to its point. You know what I'm saying? Like its ultimate point in Hugh Grant and what his whole crux is and like why he's doing this is one thing, but I feel like it has a lot of interesting side tangents and arguments on that.
Totally.
Yeah.
Totally. I just want to go ahead, Link, please.
No, I think it does justice to, like, you know, I think it does justice to the faith aspect of religion. Like, you know, I think it really is. It'd be easy to think that this is a movie that's just kind of like Marty Scorsese and religion or something like that, but this is not that. You know, I think they make valid points on each side of the debate from Hugh Grant's characters and B and Paxton.
I agree, and that's why I brought up the Dostoevsky thing, not just to try and make myself sound smart, just by Dostoevsky, but yeah, supposedly that's what it is, where you get these two arguments. But even when I've heard those books described, I've always thought like, well, that's a weird, like, I don't know, like that's not a plot. That's just two people sitting in a room, like, but I don't know. To me, it's a cool idea, and this movie did it very well. Where you definitely can't pick a side, like, oh, this is an anti-religion movie, this is a pro-religion movie, and that's the way that if you're doing that this should it should be. But I wanted to mention, because I was thinking of the look of the movie. It's like a beautiful movie. It's not like a bunch of crazy camera movement, but the camera's always moving. It's super classy, just a gorgeous looking movie. And it was shot by Chung Chung-hoon, who he's done 4 movies with Park Chan-wook, the dude that did oh, hold on. It's back.
What is it?
The guy that did that, yeah, he didn't do that movie. He didn't do that one, but he's done 4 of his movies, including Thirst, which is one of his horror movies that he did. He did Wonka. I just saw that he did Obi-Wan Kenobi. I don't know if he did the whole series, but he worked on that, and he did Zombieland Double Tap. So he's a big cinematographer, and like looking at that and then seeing the movie, it's like, yeah, it's a gorgeous, it's understated.
You did a great job, dude. Yeah. That shot when Sister Paxton's running out and it pulls out on like the model house.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? Like that, I could have used more of that, honestly.
Totally. You know, my favorite shot is when they went into the house and it was like the camera was through the fence and they pulled the camera back to reveal the bike lock and the tires. And there was something about like these 2 circular tires next to each other with this rounded bike lock. And it was just like, I don't know, it was like a perfect photograph. I loved it.
It was. They're in it together, dude. It's a good metaphor.
Where am I at? Chill said, I don't like 2000 horror movies, but I'm grateful. Now I have a DVD we can have in case Jehovah Witness come knocking at my door. You son of a bitch, Chill. Behave yourself down there. I know I butchered your joke there. Evan saying, I actually found myself saying, like, what the fuck are you doing a couple times? I wonder if he's talking about like
The sisters.
The sisters, because what were they supposed to do? I found myself
I don't
not
know.
saying that as much as like I did even when we said the watch Speak No Evil a couple weeks ago. Link, like that movie had more like get the fuck out of the house moments for me.
Yeah.
Chill saying I haven't seen Hugh Grant since the transvestite hooker situation, bro. I forgot all about that. This is not a good comeback movie. To me, for you, bro, I disagree. You don't think this is
Bro,
a good
he's
comeback?
been back.
And
Look, he's not still. That shit was like
wasn't
20 years ago, dog.
Eddie been in a situation or something, and Robert Downey Jr. and we sure as shit seen them in something in the last few years. So
Yeah.
Well, I feel like that happened to somebody else too. Eddie Murphy.
Yeah.
Eddie
Well,
Murphy had a cross dresser, and I don't fucking know the right terminology. Anyway, moving on. Evan says I didn't understand.
America's the land of second chances. Here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, but he's in the UK, and from what I've heard, they are not.
you know, I did okay. So to what Evan's saying, I see. I kind of agree with that because I did kind of think when she was in the fireplace, it's like, all right, it's just you put the table on that door, lock that one door you just saw leads out to the stair corridor. Like, why are you going out and exploring? Like, wait until he bleeds out. You know, it was too so. Like, I waited 2 hours. You know, he's gonna have died from the stab wound by then.
Keep fucking stabbing.
Seriously.
You know?
Yeah.
I, as far as that point, like there was a moment where I got lost on like the where we were in the house and why. I'm like, oh shit, I thought we were already down there. Like, I don't know. The whole moment where she goes down and sees the bike lock, and then they explain exactly why. But that moment was great. You know, another moment while I'm thinking of it, when she turns the candle around and it says that it's blueberry pie. I was like, bad fucking ass. I loved that. Sorry, I'm burping microphones. Come my new thing. Some people say pop, pop, boom. I burp in the microphone. Sal saying, yeah, I didn't know why Paxton turned back at the end either. Yeah. Chill saying, I just wanted to point out all the condoms may be the same size, but some stretches further than other. That's hilarious. The way it's I was very confused. It wasn't until I watched it again. I was like, oh, this is why they had this whole advertisement. Whatever you're told is what you'll believe. That was another one where Hugh Grant explained away like the pie bit. Like you just had faith that what you're smelling was real blueberry pie.
Yeah.
Like that was a great metaphor that I didn't like catch right away. I would have caught it the second watch, but they didn't need to explain that. Like
no, and I love the way he brought all that to the head. Like when they were like, can you please just go get your wife and like I'll be good. And he's like, I got a question for you.
Right.
You really believe my wife is on the other side of that? Like that was, I love the way he kind of like called the whole bluff right there.
That's one of my that too. I love the shit out of that. But like before that, when he's saying they still think his wife is in the other room baking pies, and he says something, there's just some like tangent that he goes on. That's the first sign of him sounding a little bit creepy. A little bit like maybe something's off there, and it's a while. It goes on for a while, and then when he stops talking, instead of them replying to him, they say, "Can we meet your wife, please?" And yes. It's like yes, it's exactly what you should. That's what we're all fucking thinking. Thank you.
I know it was B. I don't remember what they was specifically said, but I just remember thinking her response was like, "Oh, it's like they don't even want to acknowledge that shit. It's just let's pretend he didn't just go on that tangent and get the conversation back in course about the wife."
Right.
Yeah. It was
like handicapped by these rules of being a missionary and visiting in this house. You know what I mean? You're like, oh, like you just want them to like. It's crazy because it's like kind of like these set of rules you have to play with, and you're like almost like, why are we doing this? But at the same time, it feels very real and authentic to the situation.
I'm so terrible. My mind's going terrible. I'm like saying like, yes, like why do you have to keep that blouse on? Just take it off, Paxton. It's fine.
What is up with you and Paxton?
I don't know, man. I don't know, bro. I have no idea. I think she's a lot hotter than whoever that chick and smile that Robbie was freaking out about was. I know that. Oh my. All right, let's rate this bad boy and get up out this bitch. Super curious. What I don't even know. I don't know what I want to give it. I want to give it something good though, but Stu, I'll have you start out.
Yeah, man, I don't know either. Shit. I think I'm gonna go 4.5 out of 5. It's almost perfect to me, and it's just so tight and spellbinding, and the first like
We're talking about
hour,
Paxton.
the first hour or so, I'm gonna push through. But yeah, it's a hell of a movie, dude, and I do think it stumbles a little bit, and it's got a couple hiccups in the second act, but you know, just for the performance of the three leads that we have, and all the things they did with the camera work, and you know, just how it kept me on the edge of my seat. Literally, I don't think I've been this enthralled with a film that's come out this year. Like, you know, besides that's, I guess Smile 2 is one of them, but you know, there's very few, especially in the horror genre, that have that I can remember this year that have been this good. So
I hope you check out The Substance when it hits.
Yeah, dude, I'm looking forward to that one.
I hope you get around to it. Yeah,
and it's good to see, like, with the me, dude. Yeah, absolutely. It's good to see, you know, old actors finding new life and new blood in these great horror movies.
Ooh,
And
here's a question I posed. Damn, I wish you hadn't seen Substance, but Verno, real quick, who do you think had the better role, Demi Moore or Hugh Grant?
Honestly, oh man. Yeah, first of all, I'll give credit to Demi Moore for the nudity. That takes it to a, you know what I mean, a 50-some-year-old woman showing her body the way that she did. But I gotta go Hugh Grant. There's something about it's so dialogue heavy, and it's so just like dependent on his face and the way that he's saying the dialogue. That's what it's all about. He's just like, oh my God, please be my grandfather. Like, you know what I mean? He's like, I could hear him talk forever and ever and ever and ever and ever.
Yeah.
So I gotta go Hugh Grant.
Please tell me a story, Granddad.
That's a tough call. What say you?
No, I got to go with Hugh Grant. Like I respect what Demi Moore did, but like this was it just so refreshing to see like Hugh Grant step out outside of that typecast role, I guess what we should call it, and like, you know, really sink his teeth into something. This was a meaty role. Like, you know, this could have been it's very dialogue heavy, and it could have easily been super boring. But like Stu said, it was super captivating, engaging the entire time, and it's just based off of all of these actors' performances.
Dude,
but Hugh Grant really.
While I'm thinking of it, it's like 38 minutes into the movie when we get that like 30-second scene where we see Topher Grace, if we realize that is Topher Grace, and we see that he's like out there looking for the girls. He's thinking about the fucking girls, and then it's right back to the conversation. And if we didn't get that, we're talking like an hour straight of a conversation.
Just them fucking
like, they timed that up perfect, just to like squeeze that, and it led nowhere. That could be a complaint. Like, it was Topher Grace's bullshit. Like, it didn't go anywhere, but you needed that just to get,
it was great.
Get you outside of the house yourself and get you a breath of fresh air.
And when he came back the second time, it was so good. All
right, so a 4.5 from Mr. Stu. You guys in the chat, stick around. As soon as we get done rating this thing, I'll tell you what we're doing next week, and then I'll do the big Fang Fest announcement. I should have been saying this at the beginning of the show, but I'll be announcing all the movies, the vampire flicks that we're going to be doing in the month of January as soon as we wrap up here. So what do you got, Steph?
By the way, you got to check out Yellow Jackets because the B is actually very. Have you seen it?
Yellow Jackets is shit. I don't watch a whole lot of TV, but that's like one of the very few that I did watch and loved. I didn't think the second season was nearly as good as the first season. No, it wasn't. But still very good.
Yeah. B is for anybody out there who hasn't seen it, B is way more of a babe in that show than they definitely Mormonized her, the two actresses in this. But onto the movie score, I'm right there with Stu. Just to differentiate, I'll get up it to 4.69 because I can't find anything I don't like about this movie. Everything was amazing. It was super thought-provoking, and you know, it had you on the edge of your seat all the way through. And it's just really smart. I think it was very smart, intelligent movie, and I enjoyed my entire time with it. 4.69.
Hell yeah.
Probably, you know what? This might be my favorite movie or horror movie of the year, bro. Like a Strange Darling, The Substance, like that. I feel like caught off guard with this.
Yeah, I feel like Nosferatu is gonna displace it, but I feel like, man, this is like this is really lofty ground.
It could be displaced, but we don't know.
Dude,
Terrifier 3, baby. I haven't seen. None of us have seen it yet, but probably not. I think you know what, I'm gonna go right there with you. I'll go right above it. I'll go 4.75. Just because there's nothing I did not like about the movie. It did you said it, Stu, and I can't put my finger on what it is. There's something in that second half of the movie where maybe it could have been a little bit punchier at times, or maybe like
I think it almost suffers from how tight and great it is in the
well, it
movie.
almost suffers from like the location too. You have to have this
Yeah.
location, but maybe if we could have got outside into a third location in the third act, maybe we end up outside or something. I don't know. Just something about it didn't flow as well with me. But I love the fucking movie. I love the way you're glued to the screen, like a movie that never like asks you to pay attention. Besides those fleeting moments in the second half of the movie, that's really what it is. But that first half, you're so into it. You have no fucking idea where this thing is going. Then they introduce the bass, but you're like, no way.
Yeah.
Quick question: what about the second half for you guys? Because it's like that's where we got introduced to the prophet for the most part, right? Like, was the second half of the film?
See, that's the thing is, it's like a flow thing. It's like it's just compared to the first. Like, I can't put my finger on it. What is the issue?
Right.
But it's when you're comparing it to the first half and the way it just flies by, and it's so engaging. It's just not as engaging as it was.
It gets choppy in the second half,
right?
I guess, yeah.
Not that it's bad though. I mean, I'm giving
but
I'll give the thing almost a perfect score. So.
I could have done another 45 minutes of like nothing but Hugh Grant close-ups, and tight dial. You know what I mean? That was
singing.
So well.
Do more covers. I'm a weirdo. He can do no scrubs. I don't want no scrub. You do whatever the fuck you want, Hugh. I don't care.
No scrubs would have been crazy, bro.
So Sal's giving this thing a wait. Hold on. So look forward to watching it again. Catching stuff I missed, but a 5 for me though. Hell,
I was tempted to give it.
Me too.
Yeah,
I think we're all tempted.
It's almost. It's so close.
Evan says I'd give it a 4. I maybe give it a higher rating if I watched it again. SoCal Dan's giving it a 4. Sal said Twilight better be on that list. Oh, I fought hard to keep it off the list, my friend.
Edward Cullen.
Evan saying my favorite of the year is still Long Legs.
Yeah, dude, really Long Legs ruled.
Nosferatu. And SoCal Dan saying Long Legs so good. Hell yeah. Dude, like I said, man, and it keeps becoming truer and truer like week by week. It is going to be hard to make that top 10 list for 2024. It's going to be different than the other ones we were doing. Like, we're going to have a lot of crossover, but I'm really like, where, you know what I mean? What's the difference going to be?
When are y'all dropping that?
I think the plan that we're going to have to do that will be January 5th. It'll be the first Sunday of the new year.
Oh, yeah. I'm looking forward to that. It's been a great year for horror, dude, and a great year for A24.
I think, like, you know, just to repeat myself, the first half of the year, I'm like, wow, this year fucking sucks. I thought the year was like,
the first half.
It was Long Legs and Late Night with the Devil. It was like it. That was like the only good shit that came out in the first half. And then the second half, and Steph, you said it, it's original ideas.
Yeah,
we're not getting a bunch of Scream.
We're coming off the writer's strike.
Yeah, that's a good point. So next Thursday, man, day after Halloween, Terrifier 3. I just got
Christmas.
Dun, dun, dun. I don't know how I feel about this lenticular slip. Where am I at? Oh yeah, baby.
Child of the 90s doesn't like lenticular.
Well,
it looks.
It's okay. You can never make it look good on camera.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's a good point. But this was like when you order the thing on Amazon, it says like this is going to be the slip, same artwork. And don't get me wrong, like they're both cool, but it's like that's not what the fuck I ordered. Amazon, get your shit together, Amazon.
What if you get like a special case edition or some shit like that? You might get. Like
I don't know. Well, that's what I was gonna say. If anybody else out there got this and they ordered it from Amazon and that's not what they got, like let me know. Like, did I get something special, or should I be happy about it? Is that like a $300 fucking Blu-ray that I'm holding in my hand? I don't know. But all right, so I'm excited. I've been struggling to put this list together because here's what I like to do with these things. Like when we did Zombie Fest, my idea is I'm gonna take a month and I want to do like the history of a subgenre, and I want to pick out the movies that have like the biggest variety of like, you know, different zombie movies before. But what I'm trying to do here is obviously the like important, influential zombie movies, but then like a variety. of vampire movies. Vampire, not zombie. So it was a bitch to put this together. I had to pull. I wanted to do like 12 weeks in a row, but I just couldn't, obviously. So we're kicking this thing off the first week of January with Nosferatu, which we've already mentioned, coming out in theaters on Christmas Day. So I'm very, very, very excited about that. We're going to get together, talk about Nosferatu for the kickoff of FangFest 2025, and then Horror of Dracula. This is the first Hammer horror Dracula movie. Christopher Lee.
Wow.
And why can I never fucking remember his name? Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. So what Hammer horror is like Universal had their monster era in like the 30s and 40s, and then it kind of died off. And Hammer horror was pretty much the British version of Universal monsters. They did Frankenstein, they did Dracula, Wolfman, Mummy, all that shit. And they had like, what's that?
What's the time? Was it like the same time?
This one is 58, and this was the second movie. So I think Curse of Frankenstein came out in like 57, but they had about a 15-year run where they were like the big monsters in town. Hammer horror, and this is like probably their biggest one that they did, and the introduction to Christopher Lee as Dracula and fucking Tarkin. Why can I just said his name 2 seconds ago. Peter Cushing, dude, as the other guy. Anyway, excited about this, and like these are probably similar stories. I don't know how much this is going to be based on Bram Stoker's Dracula, but probably a lot. But anyway, this we had to do one of these. It was either this or the Bela Lugosi one. I went with this. Follow that up, baby. Lost Boys.
Dude, what?
Oh, interesting.
This is big right here. So, I mean, Lost Boys is like the biggest vampire movie that I could think of as far as like, you know what I mean? Just one that gets referenced a lot and gets named. And then Near Dark is the hipster vampire movie of the 80s. It's the one that a lot of like people were like, actually, there was a better vampire movie in 1987 called Near Dark. And it's got Bill Paxton in it, not nearly as annoying as he was in Aliens. So excited about it. And it's got like half the cast of Aliens too.
Dude, I love that poster also. So good.
Hell yeah. So I'm really excited about that one. That's going to be a big show. We'll hopefully do both of these justice. Since they're such big movies, hopefully we do them both justice, but compare and contrast enough too. Get an answer. Which one is better? And then From Dusk Till Dawn. I almost didn't put this on. I'm like, fuck it. This is probably my favorite one.
So much fun to watch.
Yeah, it's just so entertaining. It's so badass. There's so much cool stuff to talk about. We've never like had a chance to talk about Tarantino. We get George Clooney. We get Salma Hayek.
Yeah, here's my question: are you going to go as Gaga as you did for Sister Paxton tonight, as for Salma Hayek in this movie?
Fuck no. She's nowhere near as hot.
What is going
whatever.
on? What is life right now? What?
It's okay.
Okay.
I don't know. Whatever.
Salma Hayek is not as hot as Sister Paxton.
No fucking way, bro. No fucking way.
Crazy. You were certifiably insane, bro. I love you.
Don't get me wrong. She's cool. She's cool. But
are you going with that little Minnie Mouse one?
I'm trying to think of how many we got left. Oh, and then this is the cap off right here. God, there's so many I wanted to leave out. I edited this thing down right before we got on. I threw out a Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, which I really want to see and I want us to talk about. But let the right one in. This is the one you guys have both seen. I have not seen this movie. It is like hands down, inarguably, like every list that you see, this is the greatest vampire movie of all time. That isn't like Bela Lugosi, Nosferatu, Christopher Lee. You know what I mean? For people that aren't saying it's one of the classics, this is the most highly appreciated vampire movie of all time. So just to recap, FangFest, Nosferatu, Horror of Dracula, Lost Boys versus Near Dark, From Dusk Till Dawn, Let the Right One In. So fucking excited. So excited.
It's a great collection, dude.
Very excited, man.
I like that a lot.
Yeah, good job.
Almost as excited I am for the next episode of Ink and Insights. I mean, just keep the hits coming. Tell people what you got going on, Stu.
Yeah, man. Last night we had our boy Robbie Phillips on talk about our favorite new releases from the past week: Marvel, DC, Image, and the Indies. We're going to be taking a break for a couple weeks for the holidays, but we'll be back on either the 1st or the 8th. We're still trying to figure that out, but yeah, man, just check us out. Usually Wednesdays, 9:30 p.m. Eastern.
Hell yes. And then, dude, I forgot to put the thumbnail for what I'm doing this Sunday. I got Rockin' Robbie Phillips, Fable and E coming on. And we're going to talk about the first 2 episodes of Masters of Horror. So for those that don't know, 2005 to 2007, it was a horror series on Showtime where they had like different Masters of Horror direct each episode.
Yeah.
The first one was done by Don Coscarelli. It's one of the more popular of all the episodes of Masters of Horror, called Incident on and Off a Mountain Road. And he's the guy that directed and wrote Phantasm. He did Bubba Hotep. He did Beastmaster. But and then the second one is a witch story directed and written. It's actually an H.P. Lovecraft story adapted by Stuart Gordon, who did From Beyond, Reanimator, and such things. So very excited about that. And then, as I said, Terrifier 3, baby. Next week, next Thursday, the day after Christmas. So all you sexy bastards out there, you have yourself a very Merry Christmas. Appreciate the shit out of all you guys. We got Chill down here just saying a bunch of sexy things about
Facts.
Flag.
I mean, you're out here. I cannot believe you're voting for Sister Banks whenever saw them.
I would any day of the week, bro.
I still love
any
you.
day of the week.
That's
And
all
I
right.
like Latinas. Don't get me wrong. I mean, I do.
I like the way you said that.
I like a Latina. What's that?
Jackson or Jana Ortega?
Jana Ortega is nowhere. She's not even on my fucking top 5 billion list. I'm not into her. She's too mousy.
Dude, but Sister Paxton isn't? What the fuck are we talking about?
No, she's got something else. Something more.
I'm almost scared. I'm scared for that. I'm scared for that woman if you ever run into her.
All right, I don't want to sound too crude. We're an hour and 25 into this. I think the people here are true believers, so I don't care. Did you guys notice? Did you guys notice how big her fucking tits were underneath all that? Am I the only one that noticed this?
It didn't stand out to me. I mean,
go back and look. The second the movie starts, as soon as we get inside that house and she sits down, I'm like, oh,
I'm not gonna go back.
I noticed.
I promise you, I'm not. I
It's
promise
there.
you, I'm not.
It's there. Go back and check it out. But anyway, Chill, SoCal Dan, Evan, all you guys are fucking beautiful people. Sal, I appreciate you. Stu, not in the chat. He normally is, but I appreciate you. Johnny recaps. You old son of a bitch. Appreciate you, Johnny. Keep recapping. My brother. And Easy. Appreciate you as well. All right, we're going to get about this bitch. I appreciate all you guys. We'll see you next time. Fang Fest 2 weeks away. Next week, Terrifier 3. Huh.